We begin tonight with fallout from the growing Veteran Affairs scandal. The VA's Inspector General said in a preliminary report that delays in medical care to veterans and manipulating records to hide those delays is a systemic problem. This has triggered a new wave of lawmakers calling for the resignation of Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki. The embattled VA Secretary called the findings reprehensible and directed staff to immediately provide care for the 1,700 Phoenix area vets at the core of this investigation. Meanwhile, pressure is mounting on U.S. President Barack Obama. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney said the president found the findings, quote, extremely troubling, end quote, and is pushing for immediate steps to get the veterans the care that they deserve. Joining us to share their stories on the challenges some veterans face when attempting to receive care from VAs is attorney Adam R. Luck. He is a veterans disability lawyer with the law firm Glover Luck LLP. Also with us is United States Navy veteran Anthony Wright and his wife Claudia, and they are joining us from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to Arise America to all three of you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to say also, Anthony, thank you for your service to our country. I know that you have had difficulty in receiving the care that you've needed through the VA system. Just briefly, tell us what your experience with the VA has been like.
It's been a long battle trying to get help when I was discharged for my neck, and took approximately after 8 surgeries, a year and a half of telling the VA that something was wrong, and they just wouldn't listen, and I had to go outside to a private physician to get help. And after an MRI that they used from the VA, he diagnosed that the rods screws have come detached from my neck. But it took me a year and a half of them telling me that nothing was wrong, and the whole time something was. And it's just been a nightmare. You know, trips back and forth to the ER, 13, 14 hours, and they had to tell you that they're not pain management and there's nothing they can do, and to go home just frustrated and felt defeated. And after contacting Adam, and you know, Adam's been there for me 100%, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for him and his law firm. And I appreciate him taking care of me and my family, and it really meant a lot.
You're one of those fortunate ones who had the access and the opportunity to hire legal counsel. There are so many that don't. As you went through this, I can only imagine, Anthony, the level of frustration that you felt. But when this story broke about the Arizona VA Center and these thousands of veterans who were hidden from the system and put almost in this indefinite waiting period, how did you react?
I was upset, and you know, it's not funny, but it's a story that, you know, you say that, and as soon as that aired, the next day I got a call from a private physician's office, and also waiting to see another private physician for a specialty that's going on to me that I couldn't get in for a year and a half as well. They called me the very next day saying that the VA couldn't see you in a timely manner, and we'll be taking care of your health care, and they're going to pay for it. As soon as this story aired, I got a call from a private physician, said the VA has opted out to pay for this. So they know that, you know, they messed up, and not just treating me. A lot of patients that I saw there was some poor care, and that's all something that the veterans have is the VA. And the VA needs to step up and take care of the veterans that fought for our country, and also for the ones that come home. And that's all they have to turn to, so they need to take care of that.
I want to turn to your wife, Claudia. The truth is, it's not just the individual that serves in the military. The family serves in the military in some ways. What was it like to watch Anthony go through these difficulties and challenges, and how did it affect the way you see our government?
Well, I had to fight for every single bit of his care, and I'm in the medical field, so I have a little bit of an advantage that some people necessarily don't. But I had to fight for every single appointment, every single thing that we did. I had to call them on it, and it was a full-time job for me. It literally is a full-time job for me to deal with the VA and those appointments. And we have a special needs child, and we have other children, and it literally does affect our whole family, you know. And I guess the frustrating part is that the VA has the ability to be a very good facility, but there's too many red tapes, that we have to go through to get the care that we need. We're not asking for any, miracles or anything. We're just asking for proper care.
Adam, I know you could tell story after story of the clients that you've represented that have had difficulty getting the care that they need and deserve from the VA. But as I understand it from our producer, you have a little bit of concern about how this story has rolled out, that veterans are all lumped into the same group, that they need to be considered differently. Explain a little bit more about that.
You hit the nail right on the head there. With all the press that's come out, the masses have generally this sense that the veterans as a whole are being mistreated. The veterans as a whole don't have the adequate medical care. But underlying that is the varying degrees of veterans out there. Some veterans have a different financial situation than other veterans. Some veterans are completely dependent on VA health care. Those are the veterans that get affected the most. Veterans with better financial situations can turn to a private physician to get a second opinion, to get the care that they need, to get a surgical procedure that they could not otherwise get through the VA. The veterans who are in more dire straits that are completely dependent on VA health care are completely also at the mercy of the wait lines, of the inadequate treatment, of, well, Mr. Wright here is a perfect example. They're at the mercy of inadequate diagnoses where they have to turn to a private physician in order to get the care that they need.
And pay for.
And pay for it.
Indeed. Anthony, of course, so many people, including politicians on both sides of the aisle, are calling for the resignation of Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki. Do you think he needs to step down?
Yeah, I do. I think he's known all along. Also, the head of the VA in Dallas also is covering up some things that are going on to protect his job, and he's going to say that the VA is doing what it can and to take care of their veterans, and he's just not telling the truth. I mean, anybody can walk through there and spend a little time and see how these patients get treated, and from what he's saying, it's not the truth. And I think the VA system needs a whole overhaul. And, everybody needs to go and see what's going on and see how our vets are being taken care of, and something needs to be done. And how many more patients are going to have to die? And how many more patients are going to have to wait to get care? And they just give up, and they get frustrated. I wanted to give up. But, she fought for me tooth and nail, and I wouldn't be here if she didn't advocate for me.
Yeah,
I wanted to give up, too.
Thankfully, you've had a support system that's helped you, but that's not the case for so many veterans. I want to add one more voice to this conversation. I'm going to ask the three of you to stand by, don't go anywhere. Judy Bichelle is the department commander of the American Legion of Arizona, where the VA hospital scandal first came to light, and she joins us from Phoenix, Arizona. Judy, I think I simply want to ask you this question. There's so much conversation about how to fix these very obvious problems, and amongst the conversation is whether or not to privatize or do some sort of mix. So my question for you is, do you think, from your vantage point, that the VA as it exists now has outlived its usefulness?
No, I don't. I don't think privatizing is the answer. I think that we need to fix the issues at the VA. The VA employs an awful lot of people, including veterans, and we don't want those veterans to be out of jobs.
Absolutely. So what would you say? You are with the American Legion and know so many veterans that have had problems. What do you think are the important first few steps in fixing this problem?
Well, first they have to fix the scheduling. The leaders of the VA need to be held accountable for what's happened with the system. And our national commander, Dan Dellinger, requested a month ago that they ask Secretary Shinseki to step down from his position because it has become evident that it's a systemic problem. And at this point in time, the IG's report seems like it is uncovering that. We have had, it started in Phoenix, And it has grown almost nationwide that the problems with the scheduling of veterans for appointments, the cover-ups of the waiting times, there are a lot of things that the Investigator General is looking into. And, you know, they're starting at the very bottom, and we can't let this go away when the news media dies down on it. I was in a meeting yesterday with Senator Flake, and the comment was made, never let a good crisis go to waste. You know, meaning that, you know, they can't just let this issue go away. They need to get to the bottom of it and fix the problem now that it has come out. The problem didn't just start this year. They've
right.
actually discovered that in 2005, they've had many, many reports, and they have gone, you know, they haven't taken care of these reports for years and years now. And that has to go back to the head of the VA.
Yes.
He had to know those reports, you know, and that's why our national commander asked for him to step down.
Yes,
and it's
and this-
finally coming around to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to jump in because we're just about out of time, Judy, but you know, we all hope that this conversation will continue until the issues are addressed adequately. Finally, before I have to let you all go, I'd like to go back to Anthony and just give him the last word in this. Anthony, as you know, hearings are being held right now in Congress. Our legislators have really taken the officials at the VA to task on this. If you were testifying to them, what would you tell them? What's the most important thing for our legislators to know to address this problem?
Change. They need to wake up and see what's going on. Our veterans are not going away. There's more coming back, and they need to be taken care of. They deserve the best care, not care that's they get overlooked when they get out of the military, and they kind of push them away to the side, and they won't have to deal with them. Our veterans deserve the best care. Congress needs to wake up. Our president needs to wake up and do his job and make those people accountable for taking care of our vets.
Well said. Again, we thank you for your service to our country. Anthony
Thank you.
Wright, Claudia Wright, and Adam Luck, thank you all for joining us from Texas, and thanks to Judy Bichelle as well. We wish
Thank you.
wish you the very best. Well, still to come on Arise America, details on the American man said to have carried out a suicide attack in Syria. Also, the parents of the Santa Barbara killer shares their anguish in a letter. And the late Maya Angelou, poet, novelist, and activist, remembered by a friend. When we come back.